7 o'clock.
That's right. Yeah.
Will these lights be strong enough, or will, if it's overcast, will light coming to play? We'll get your thoughts.
Anderson in again, and this is left alone once more outside the off stump. I'll back after this short break with India 186 for 5.
On the SEN app, check out the SENW channel with stars of women's sport at home and abroad. Daisy Pierce, Katie Brown, Stephanie Brantz. Plus, on the SENW channel, we cover AFLW, Rugby League, W League, netball, cricket, and track the female stars of horse racing and more. For the latest news, interviews, and catch-up podcasts with the biggest names in women's sport, jump on the SENW channel. Download the SEN app now.
SEN Test Cricket for Razine, the paint the professionals use, and Henley Holmes delivering affordability. Rishabh Pant on strike then, as Johnny Bairstow makes his way back onto the field, takes his place at third slip. In comes Matty Potts, delivers, and Pant defends to backward point, and there is no run. Yeah, Prakash, good point about the lights and the dark cloud cover up above. Once the lights take on an unnatural effect here on conditions at Edgbaston, the umpires will decide that it is not fit to continue. I mean, usually at this time of the year, we're just sort of 1st of July, the height of summer. We have the sort of longest days of the year around this time towards the end of June and into July. So usually the light is pretty good, but it's just the nature of these clouds, the fact that they are rain clouds as Potts comes in, and this is chopped away by Pant out of the reach of backward point. That's going to be 4 more. Another manufactured shot really there from Rishabh Pant. Wasn't really given the width, but managed to get it into that gap.
Yeah, he just sort of manages to get enough on it and times it well. He's peppered that boundary. It's been, 3 or 4 shots in that area, feet going really nowhere, and this is close to his body. That tells me that the pace at which the ball's coming off the pitch is giving him that opportunity to not get... to be able rather to place it exactly where he wants to. That was another very, very useful boundary from an Indian point of view.
In comes Potts again, delivers. It's full this time, it's driven but fielded at mid-off with a bit of a diving flourish there from Ben Stokes towards his left. Again, got good contact on that. Over pitching was Potts. Punt remains on 65, India 190 for 5, and we can see quite a lot of that dark cloud cover coming across from our left, can't we, which could affect conditions going forward here, and we'll just have to keep an eye on the light, I suppose. The floodlights all switched on at the moment.
Yes, they are, and I think it's also getting a little bit lower, unless I'm imagining the cloud just a little bit lower than we've seen earlier.
Potts then runs in, delivers once more, but this time just defends back to the bowler in his follow-through, who feigns to have a shot at the stumps, but almost tempts him to before returning to his crease.
Yeah, sort of seeped into Rishabh Pant, but good to see that both players there just holding on, just keeping a cool head, because that's very, very important. England need to be patient. India need to be patient.
Potts in again. It's short. It's hooked away along the ground out towards long leg. Just a single this time.
Yeah, got his wrists over it, played it down into the ground, and he's just clutching the back of his left thigh there, Pant, as he swiveled around to play that shot. Got over it, didn't try to hit it in the air. Now doing some stretching. It's very crucial that he doesn't end up pulling in a muscle or something like that, particularly in this cold weather. We've seen a lot of the England fielders having those warmers in their pocket.
Warmers, yeah. Well, you see, Pant, he launches himself into literally every shot he plays, and surely that's got to take an effect on those leg muscles as well, just the spring that he has when he launches into those shots. Looks to be okay at the moment, though, down at the non-strikers. Then Potts round the wicket to Jadeja. It's left alone, just outside off. And that is the end of another over. 191 for 5.
Hey, welcome to Daryl's Dream Interpretations. How can I help?
So last night a New Zealander visited me in my dream, and she took me to her all-time fave scuba diving spot, then skydiving, then whitewater rafting on a giant tuatara lizard. What does it mean?
You should book a ticket to New Zealand.
Okay. And?
And surprisingly good pronunciation of Tuatara. Kapai. Stop dreaming and go. Visit newzealand.com. 100% pure New Zealand.
SEN Test Cricket for Resine Colour Shops for expert paint and colour advice. And Henley Homes now solar powered and all electric. Jimmy Anderson to continue here. This this 6-wicket partnership now with 93 runs between Rishabh Pant and Ravindra Jadeja. It's going to be Pant on strike. Anderson to continue around the wicket. In he comes, delivers. Pant is defending to mid-on. Again, just looking to dab and run at every opportunity. Hasn't quite found the opportunity to do so in the last couple of overs, but the intent is there that even if it's not a boundary ball, we keep this strike rotating, which is good.
And so important to make the bowlers bowl at two different batsmen as often as they can, so they don't allow the bowlers to settle into a rhythm. And in that sense, both of these batsmen have consistently tried to rotate the strike at every available opportunity.
Anderson then runs in past the umpire, delivers again, and this is a good one outside the off stump, but left alone by Rishabh Pant, just in that corridor of uncertainty. Jadeja had a mixed series last time with the bat. Started off well, got a half century at Trent Bridge, didn't bat in the second innings there, got a 40 in the victory at Lords, 4 and 30 in the defeat at Headingley. Most batters failed on that occasion. Then 10 and 17 in that famous victory at the Oval. Didn't quite get going as he would have liked. In comes Anderson. This is the reverse sweep over the heads of the slip fielders, and he's not quite got that. Rishabh Pant, it trickles away. It's not going to reach the boundary. Gets himself a couple of runs, but this is Jimmy Anderson, and this is Rishabh Pant, and this is box office.
Well, ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, if that had gone straight up in the air and he'd lost his wicket, he would have had everyone paying for his blood. If he'd connected that well and had gone for 6, it would have been reminiscent of what your road did the other day at Headingley. But where did that come from, Nikesh? It just looked like everything was normal. They were playing proper shots, and suddenly coming out of the locker is this sort of ludicrous shot.
To be fair to him, the length was there to do that. His weight transfer was quite wrong. He was leaning back. Anderson in again, and he looks for the slog sweep this time. Pant, he needs to just take stock here and not try anything too silly.
I think Jadeja just needs to go down and have a word, but I think Jadeja knows better. He's leaning on his bat.
What can you do when you've got Rishabh Pant at the other? Is he going to listen to you? Is there any point in wasting your breath? I mean, that wasn't too far away from the off stump.
Well, sometimes, Nikesh, it's just about taking a breather, taking a break, just slowing down the tempo. We were just talking about level heads, and the last 2 balls, certainly Pant seems to have got into a different frame of mind altogether.
What does he do here? Anderson is in, and this is down the leg side. Really good take from Sam Billings, diving away to his right. He'd be disappointed he didn't get anything on that. Rishabh Pant does like that sort of fine flick down towards fine leg. He remains on 68. India 193 for 5. Well, you'll remember in Chennai, Anderson taking that second new ball on that occasion in 2021, and Pant playing a similar shot to that and getting good contact that time all the way to the boundary. Final ball. Anderson over there, and he comes to Pant, and this time it's just defended nicely off the front foot into the leg side. No run, end of the over. We're going to have a change in commentary after this one with Henry Moran taking over from me. India 193 for 5.
Hey, welcome to Daryl's Dream Interpretations. So, what's your dream?
So last night I met a New Zealander in my and he lent me his polar fleece, and we climbed a glacier and did some mountain biking, and then we ate oysters with 2 seals called Peter and Jackson who knew heaps about Sauvignon Blanc. What does it mean?
Oh, book a ticket to New Zealand.
That's it?
You bet. Stop dreaming and go. Visit newzealand.com. 100% pure New Zealand.
Test match cricket on SENZ as Matthew Potts runs in from the city end. It's left alone outside the off stump by Ravi Jadeja. Brought to you by Resine, the paint the professionals use in Henley Homes, delivering affordability. What a partnership this has been, Prakash.
It has been a fantastic partnership from an Indian perspective, for sure. Came together with the score at 98. They've now put on, just 5 shy, so 95 together. And just watching Kettleborough there having a bit of a chat with Rishabh Pant, not sure what that was about. I thought he was pointing down to where Pant might be running.
In comes Potts again, round the wicket. 3 slips waiting. And feeling for it as he edged it? No. I say feeling for it, it was more expansive than that. Jadeja just hanging that bat out there. And almost.
Yes, one of the few occasions really there, Henry, where we saw Jadeja reaching for it, as you said, and certainly fortunate not to have got an outside edge. That was the scramble seam again.
Those man Sam Billings is keeping. A little bit crocodile.
Yeah, but it's been effective.
In comes Potts. Is that an edge this time? No. Same again, really. Jadeja jabbing up the ball. Has a little pat of the pitch, but Ravi, I'm afraid that's just good bowling and somewhat injudicious batting, because he's had that bat out there on 2 occasions now and has got fortunate both times.
Yes, so Pant and he having a little bit of a mid-wicket chat. And again, not quite to the pitch of it, the ball just back of a length. And Jadeja instinctively, I think, just prefers to get on the front foot every possible opportunity. And it's Potts bowling that kind of length, which is leaving him sort of high and dry.
Potts again, this time bat on it, pushed into the offside. Good running, really dropped into space. And an easy single is taken to move the score to 194 for 5.
An unhurried single by virtue of the very soft hand just in front, so no chance for the fielder coming in from cover. I think might have been Crawley there, and comfortable run. 194 is the score, and remember they got together at 98, Henry, so a little bit of a repair job. Long way to go though.
Well, there is, but next ball is pulled down the corner very fine. It's going to rush away for 4.
Yeah, this one almost stood up there to be hit, didn't it? It didn't really come off the pitch. Maybe just stuck in the pitch a little bit, and that allowed Pant enough time to get inside the line, get over the ball, and hit it into the ground, down to a very fine position, at fine leg to get 4 runs.
And there is the 100 partnership. It's coming quick time as well, Prakash. It's not been one of those that has been ground out given the situation. It's been counter-attacking more than it has defensive.
Well, in the last session, while England did pick up 3 wickets, the run rate was just a shade over 5.
Going some. This is pulled away again. It's going to be the same result, I fancy. Yes. Down to that boundary for 4 more. Potts losing his line at the end of the over. And with 49 gone, the 200 comes up for India. 202 for 5 on SENZ with Razeen Colour Shops for expert paint and colour advice.
Real Adventures with Patrick Dangerfield and Aaron Hapgood. Everything fishing, boating and outdoors.
Have you ever just decided to go to the cinemas by yourself? Didn't go to large popcorn because of Kane's feedback last week, and proceeded to have probably the best 2 hours and 17 minutes possibly imaginable. Cinema by yourself, the new Top Gun flick, which is electrifying, and it was just brilliant.
Patrick Dangerfield and Aaron Hapgood. Subscribe and listen today wherever you get your podcasts.
202 for 5 here on SENZ with Razeen, the paint the professionals use. We're watching Test match cricket live from Edgbaston and across the SEN network. Jimmy Addison round the wicket to bowl to Ravi Jadeja. It's onto the pads of the left-hander and jabbed into the leg side. No run. He's played 59 tests, Ravi Jadeja. Prakash, for me, Jadeja is the kind of guy you'd have in your 11 every single time. The fact that he's missed as many games as he has seems remarkable.
Well, and let's be fair, I mean, most of the games that he's missed have been through injury. I don't think he's been sort of left out.
He had a tour here where he missed every game bar 1 in 2018 when he was part of the touring party, I think. Here comes Addison again. It's ball to Jadeja, forward in defence.
Well, let's be honest, Jadeja's come along. I mean, yes, we always tend to remember the more recent performances, but as a test match cricketer, there was a long time when he was sort of seen as a white ball.
Right.
And it's his performances in test match cricket really have come to the fore, I'm going to say, in the last 4 or 5 years. And that's where he started getting some runs. He started realizing that he's got the potential to really contribute with the bat. A few big shots.
3 slips waiting as Addison bowls. Is that an edge? No. Again, leaving at the last moment. One of those that Did for Riccoli earlier, just the yes, no. He gets nothing on it. Jadeja remains unbeaten up 37. I look over to the Holly stand. I can see a group dressed as bananas. Fred Flintstone's off to get a pint. And we've got, who else have we got there? Occasionally, because it's a single-tiered stand with a big gap at the front where you can run along. In comes Jimmy Addison again. Bowling, pushed away beautifully off the back foot, but stopped by Pope at backward point. You occasionally get a fox hunt taking place, where normally a stag party, buck's party, you'll get whoever the stag is, the buck, will be dressed as a fox.
Right.
And then you'll get the hunters. And they'll start at the top of the stand, run down one of the staircases and wiggle up and down and up and down.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what adds character, isn't it, to every ground. That each place has its own little theatrics.
Addison in, left alone.
And I don't know, it's remarkable and it's wonderful and it's really nice to watch cricket in these parts of the world because of that unique nature that the spectators bring, the fancy dress, the trumpets and the drums, the kind of, and let's be honest, very knowledgeable crowds as well. So they always acknowledge good performance, and that's what you really want to see, isn't it?
Here comes Anderson, bowing his head and beginning the approach into Jadeja, who's forward, solidly in defence.
Yeah, these two really have batted well.
Yeah, they've played nicely. It's just been confident and competent as we reach the 50-over mark. 2:02 for 5 with Razine, the paint the professionals use. Want an internet provider with the most satisfied customers? Mate has been rated the best for overall NBN satisfaction by CanStar Blue's annual providers review. In fact, Mate are the only telco to score 5 stars in all areas. That's customer service, value for money, ease of setup, bill and cost clarity, as well as speed and reliability. So, join the most satisfied NBN customers. Choose a provider you can trust, like a mate. Visit letsbemates.com.au. Welcome back to Edgbaston. It is 2:02 for 5. India staging quite the fight back. This partnership worth 104 runs. Rishabh Pant. If somebody 10 years ago was on 76 from 71 balls, Prakash, we might think that is an innings for the ages.
Yes,
The goalposts are kind of moved, you know.
significantly.
Here comes Matthew Potts in for the far end. Bowling onto the pads. And Pant is clipping that away to a straightish mid-wicket for 4. Up towards the scoreboard. It's a fine-looking shot. He moves to 18.
Yeah, that's Rishabh Pant for you. You know, he is somebody who just plays his cricket in his own way. And in that sense, it's actually very reminiscent of the way England have been playing their cricket, isn't it? I mean, this is, if Rishabh Pant was an Englishman and in this team of Ben Stokes, he would just fit in perfectly for the approach that he's taken. And he's done that consistently. I'll never forget, I think it was his first ball in Test match cricket at the Oval. And he just stepped down and hit it over the bowler's head for 6.
Anderson Potts turns, I should say, running in towards us. And dropping down like that is Pant. He can't find the gap in the offside. Wait for his 81st run. 2:06 for 5 is the score. It is a very different game from the one I started watching. You started watching cricket.
I dare say I started watching a little bit early. But even in your relatively short viewing and being involved with cricket, it's changed so much. People would have scoffed at numbers on the back of the shirts. That's just a small example.
Hunt waiting, leaving it outside the off stump. He's got a strike rate in Test cricket of 70.
And we've always talked about this, isn't it? The change, the nature in which the equipment's change. For example, the bats and what they've allowed batsmen to do. The different formats of the game, the 50-over game and the changed version of the 50-over game. Then, of course, the 20 overs. And it's just sort of bubbled up with new innovations. And it's beginning to get to the point where I think you expect something new every other time.
Potts is in. Bowling to Pant is up on his toes, dropping the ball into the leg side, pushing hard for the single. It'd just be the one run to move the score to 2:07 for 5. Is Test cricket a more entertaining game?
I think if this sort of trend continues, Henry, it's going to become even more interesting, isn't it? Because in that sense, you're going to get little patches of white ball type batting. And bowling as well. I mean, you've seen for the bulk of the day today 4 or 5 men in the slip cordon. There hasn't been the standard backward point fielder where you inevitably have somebody, the ball goes there so often, there was runs on offer there, runs were being leaked, but Ben Stokes didn't seem too frazzled by that at all. He was clear that was the way he wanted to play.
Round the wicket comes Foster Jadeja, who leaves that alone outside the off stump. And there is no run.
And as long as you're going to see that kind of stroke play, new shots, I mean, we think back now and almost forgotten that it was Kaluwitharna and Jayasuriya, and great match, and who was it with him in New Zealand, who sort of redefined the power play in the 50-over game. Just go for it, play over the top, etc. Then came the Dil scoop, and everyone said, "Oh, you can't play that, can you?" And now we're seeing all kinds of innovation.
Potts to complete the over. Running in, it's helped down the leg side, whether on bat or pad. I don't know, but it's going to be 4 onto the total, whatever it is leg buys. So the score moves forward once more. 211 for 5. 51 overs gone in the day. Test match cricket with Henley Holmes delivering affordability.
G'day, it's Daisy here. Are you an Aussie maker or grower exporting Aussie product around the world? To succeed internationally, you need to be strategic, be agile, and be ready to work as a team to get the win. So, for your best shot when exporting overseas, join Team Australian Made. Make the Aussie connection instantly and clearly with the highly trusted green and gold kangaroo logo. Apply now. Visit australianmade.com.au/export.
Receive colour shops for expert paint and colour advice, bringing you Test match cricket here on SENZ. Live from Edgbaston, England against India, the 5th Test rearranged from a series that began way back a year ago now. Prakash Wakanka. It is 2 different looking sides, different captains, different coaches. But one thing remains the same. If Rishabh Pant gets going, you've got to strap yourselves in and keep a very close eye on it. He's played brilliantly here. 81 now from 75.
Yes, he has. And of course, one thing that has changed is the batch of due balls.
Well, that is true. Here comes Anderson round the wicket, and here comes Pant smacking him back over his head. A couple of bounces, 4 runs. Don't worry, Rishabh. They're certainly the most successful seam bowler in the history of the game. Treating him with disdain.
I often ask myself, and it's probably just showing my age again, is that having got to where you have and the way you've batted, is that really necessary? But if you ask Rishabh Pant, he's going to say, but that's how I play. I mean, he's come down, I remember very early on in his innings, was beaten, he tried that reverse scoop, whatever, got a top edge, cleared the... It's just who he is.
Anderson in again. Pant is a little bit tangled by that. Strikes high up on the pad, drops into the offside. Firecrackers go off somewhere outside the ground. I can see them actually some fireworks up behind the stand of that fancy dress. Supporters are all in the Holly stand to our right. There's smoke rising. I always think a firework is more effective at night, Prakash.
Well, visually, yes. But from a sound perspective, if that's what you want, and depending on which part of the world you are, your reaction could be very different to that sound.
Well, yes. Indeed. There's a few looking around, seeing what it was, but we can see quite clearly there's smoke rising from the gardens. One of those red brick houses out there.
Once in a little bit of pain there. He's been hit already once. That one was, again, I think, in the midriff region for sure.
Anderson running in. Punt on 85. Anderson bowls forward in defence. Comes.
I'm just beginning to get the feeling that this pitch has just eased off.
Yeah.
The ball's not really coming off anywhere near what it did in the morning. That's, of course, part of it must be the freshness and the hardness of the ball. Punt is still in a bit of pain. He's grimacing a bit.
It's that left hamstring that was the concern a couple of overs ago.
That's when he played that first of the 2 or 3 swivel shots down to find.
Anderson round the wicket to bowl Japan, who's happy to take one into the leg side off the hips and gently run through for a single, moving his personal tally up to 86. India 216 for 5.
Yes, just a good place to be at the non-striker's end. If you're in a little bit of pain, just get your thoughts together, collect yourself, and give yourself a longer opportunity to get a more meaningful score for your team.
Three slips, crouching, longing for an opportunity as Jadeja waits, struck at the pad. There's an appeal from behind, but not really from Anderson. But very leg side-ish to me. Stuart Broad nods his head to agree. Alim Dar not required even to wait for the DRS counter to come down, because England aren't interested. 217 for 5.
Yes, that one jacked back sharply, and Jadeja was sort of caught on the crease, but safely running down the leg side is evident. Anderson, Broad, Stokes, the sort of brains trust, if you will, as far as the bowling unit's concerned, having a quick word amongst themselves.
Anderson begins his approach once more, full delivery, left alone. There's half an appeal with the bat hanging out there, almost as if it might have kissed the face of Rishabh Pant's bat, but the decision is not one that is going to be in England's favour from the umpire. The over comes to an end, 217 for 5. Test match cricket with Henley Holmes now solar powered and all electric.
Stay in pole position this week with radio's #1 motorsports show, The Driver's Seat with Matt McKeldin and Stephen Johnson.
We spoke to reigning Bathurst champion Lee Holdsworth, who's been split up with his win.